Hey everyone, I'm Jake Platt, a certified life coach specializing in narcissistic abuse recovery. Today, we're breaking down something that's often misunderstood: trauma bonding. Trauma bonding can feel like love because for many of us, it's the only kind of intense connection we've known. And let's face it, love itself is sometimes presented in ways that aren't real or healthy. That's why we can find ourselves in these toxic relationships, thinking we're experiencing love when actually we're caught in a trauma bond. Let's make this relatable, piece by piece. Imagine this: trauma bonding versus love. Why is it so easy to confuse the two? It's because trauma bonding often mirrors what we think of as passion or romance, those extreme highs and lows that make the relationship feel powerful. You might feel deeply connected one moment and completely confused the next. But healthy love, it doesn't leave you constantly questioning or walking on eggshells. It feels steady, supportive, and safe. Think of a friend who has a job where their boss is sometimes really encouraging, then turns around and is harshly critical, even unfairly blaming them. Despite this treatment, your friend stays because they crave those rare moments of praise. That's what trauma bonding feels like. It makes inconsistency feel like value or importance, when really it's just manipulation. Now, let's talk about how this bond forms through something called the cycle of abuse. This is usually how trauma bonds get built. So someone hurts you, maybe emotionally, maybe physically. Then there's a honeymoon phase. They apologize, say they're sorry. Maybe they didn't mean it. Maybe it'll never happen again. During this phase, they might shower you with affection or promises. And for you, it feels like relief, maybe even love. But then, over time, it happens again and again. And each time, that apology, that affection afterward, pulls you back in, making it harder to break away. Let's look at a real life example. Say you're in a relationship and your partner criticizes you during an argument, putting you down. But later they apologize, telling you they didn't mean it, maybe even blaming it on a bad day. Then they shower you with gifts or affection. That cycle confuses your feelings and makes each hurtful moment more acceptable because the apology feels like a connection. But it's not connection, it's control. Another piece of trauma bonding is something called the Fawn response. This is actually one of the ways people respond to stress or danger. Along with fight, flight, or freeze, fawning is basically people pleasing as a survival tactic. When you're in a trauma bond, you might find yourself going out of your way to make them happy, hoping it'll prevent another hurtful episode. It's your subconscious way of feeling like you have control in the situation. So, for example, if you're always anticipating what might upset them or trying to stay one step ahead to avoid setting them off, that's a fawn response. You're adjusting yourself constantly, hoping if you're perfect enough, they won't hurt you again. And then there's enmeshment. Trauma bonding often leads to this, where boundaries dissolve and you feel like your emotions are tied to theirs. You might think, if they're happy, I'm happy. Their needs start to come before yours. You may even depend on their opinions to make decisions. If you're finding that you can't even make a small decision without wondering what they think, or you're giving up time with your friends because they don't like your friends, that's enmeshment. This isn't healthy interdependence because it's missing boundaries. Next, let's talk about isolation and gaslighting. These two go hand in hand. Isolation often happens subtly. They might tell you certain friends or family members are a bad influence or don't understand you. Gradually, you stop seeing people who are close to you. And gaslighting, that's when they make you question your own reality, saying things like, you're overreacting, or that didn't happen the way you remember. You start questioning your own memory, your own feelings. If you're constantly hearing that you're too sensitive or your emotions aren't real, That's gaslighting. It erodes your confidence, and it makes you even more dependent on them because you start trusting their version of reality more than your own. Now let's talk about a hard truth when it comes to narcissistic traits. Narcissists aren't attracted to you because you're special to them in a way we want to feel special. Narcissists seek out people who are willing to meet their needs for validation, control, admiration. They aren't seeing you for your unique qualities. They're seeing how you fit into their needs. This is a tough reality, but seeing it clearly is a big step in breaking free. It's like casting roles in a play. The narcissist isn't picking the actor based on individual traits. They're picking someone who will play the role they need, someone who will fulfill their demands, regardless of who they are as a person. When you understand these patterns, when you start recognize trauma bonding for what it really is, you can begin to separate what's real from what's manipulation. Trauma bonds don't mean love. True love doesn't feel like an emotional roller coaster. It doesn't require you to lose yourself or sacrifice who you are. Healthy love lets you keep your boundaries. It lets you grow, trust yourself, and encourages your personal growth. And if you're only hearing kind words and receiving affection after you've been hurt, it's time to rethink that relationship. That's not love. It's trauma bonding. If anything here sounds familiar, please reach out to a therapist or support network, or even reach out to me. The sooner you start talking to someone, the sooner you can feel ready to break free and begin to heal. Thanks for watching, and remember, real love feels safe, stable, and lets you be yourself. Don't settle for less.